So let's talk about tonight's game. We've got Ryan Clark and our standard Monday crew getting you ready for Monday Night Football. And guys, we're going to break down, of course, the X's and O's in storylines. But one of the storylines coming into this is throwback uniforms, which we saw some teams do, like the Bucs and the Seahawks over the weekend throwback uniforms. So we're going to do a bit of a fit check of what we think the Jags are going to look like tonight. I'm going to give you first word in terms of the product that we'll see on the field. Well, first and foremost, talking about the actual uniforms, as a proud ex-Jaguar player, I know everybody, I'm synonymous with being a Jet player, but that was my second longest tenure. You see it right there. Oh, there it is. It's going to be similar to something like this, except for they're going to have the Jaguar on the side. That teal was always clean. Now, again, when I wore it, it was sponsored by Reebok, so there was only so much you could do swag-wise. And with white pants, it's always kind of hard to swag things out. We had, I believe, white and black cleats with that. So I'm looking forward to seeing this throwback. We saw yesterday with the Bucs and Seahawks. That was a really clean uniform game there. So I'm excited to see what these throwback Jaguar uniforms look like. I'm hoping that, I think it was, the 75th season where you wore the throwback uniforms kind of all season long. We need another season like that because these throwback uniforms are clean. You mentioned the Bucs and Seahawks game. I always love to see the Niners in their throwback uniforms with the shaded number. These throwback uniforms. League officials, please, can we just have a whole season? Are you sure that Pittsburgh, you want the Bumblebee Pittsburgh? No, that's two. Yeah, I was going to say, not that far back. When we throw back, I'm talking more like a toss back to the backfield. We're not going way back. But these unis are clean because Elijah, you talked about the pants and the matchup. To me, the easiest way to swag out is with the socks. Yeah, for sure. The socks make a real difference because of what you can do with it. Now, the official thing is you got to have an inch of white. I tried to barely show any, but it's the variation of the socks. The socks is what help really give you swag to the uniform. So they wear these throwback uniforms 4 times this year, and you say it's not enough. They need to have a season where they can run on 4. They'll also be wearing, by the way, Week 14 and Week 18. All right, let's get to some of the nitty-gritty here. I mentioned sort of strength on strength when it comes to turnovers. Let's start with Jacksonville, which 3-1 could arguably be 4-0 against that game with the Bengals, a league-leading 13 takeaways. We saw what they did against San Francisco last week as well. What stood out to you? What continues to stand out to you about that? Ryan Nielsen, the defensive coordinator, has brought a new energy to this Jacksonville Jaguars defense. They're an attacking style defense. He allows it so their guys up front can get one-on-one opportunities. Case in point, game on the line last week, Eric Armstead revenge game, right? He's able to beat the center, get the sack fumble, and they win that game. He talked about it. This is a stark contrast from what they did in 2024. You see it. Last in the NFL right now, they're leading the NFL. I believe they have the most forced turnovers in the first 4 games since 2018 from the Cleveland Browns. And adversely, you talked about it, Tommy, the Chiefs don't give the football away, right? Matter of fact, they're 39-0 when they win the turnover battle. They only have given the ball away 1 time this season. Me and Randy been talking ad nauseam. The ball is everything. And for the Jacksonville Jaguars, they turn it over for the Chiefs. They hold on to the football. And you talk about it, good on good. They hit the numbers. You got 13 takeaways by the Jags defense, only 1 for Kansas City. But I want to talk about points off of turnovers. So you're coming into this season off of those turnovers. The Jags have 41 points off of turnovers. And that is huge for this offense. Because typically, when you get these turnovers, it's in the short field, right? And you want to come away with that from those turnovers with points. And they have been able to do that. And you talk about a stark contrast from last year to this year. Last year, they only had 9 turnovers on the whole season and only 25 points on the whole season from turnovers in 2024. And they're averaging 3 turnovers a game now. So this defense has been very opportunistic and has given this offense some shortened fields to get points. Just to follow up offensively, what then do you need to see out of Trevor Lawrence here? Etienne, BTJ, Travis Hunter, and company on that side of the ball. I'm so glad you brought that up because this is a big game for Trevor Lawrence. National stage versus a Super Bowl winning quarterback in Patrick Mahomes. A lot of people have wondered, when is Trevor Lawrence going to take that next step into going into that upper echelon of quarterbacks? They pen him like a top 10 quarterback in the league, but when are we going to see it on the field? First and foremost, they've got to get Brian Thomas going on offense. It's ridiculous to have that type of player not lead you in receiving. Their tight end Brenton Strange right now leads them in receiving yards now. I love what they've done on the offensive side of the ball, being able to run the ball with Travis Etienne. That takes pressure off the quarterback. But when you have a guy that has the skill set of Brian Thomas Jr., you have to be able to get him involved. So to me, being able to push the ball down the field is going to open up the run game, right? They do a really good job in the screen game as well. But they have to get Brian Thomas Jr. going. That connection needs to come alive. So from his point of view, how do you think he's approaching this offense schematically tonight? Do you think, Ryan? Well, I think personally they got to start with stopping this run game, right? This run game is ranked 4th in the league coming into the game, averaging 144 yards per game. You see Etienne, even after all the games yesterday and their stats being included, Travis Etienne is still 5th in the National Football League in rushing, and he's averaging 6 yards a carry. So Spags is going to stack that box, and he's going to force Trevor Lawrence to beat him. Because if you look at it from a third down perspective, the Jags' third down offense ranks 26th in the league in third down efficiency, getting third downs at a 35% clip, whereas the Chiefs' defense ranks 9th in third down efficiency at 34%. So they're going to, first of all, Jags' offense is going to have to get Etienne going because he has the weapons. Yeah, Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, Brenton Strange. And we know what Trevor Lawrence can be when he gets hot. But it's all predicated off of their ability to run the ball with Travis Etienne. And with the Kansas City Chiefs during this nice run the last handful of years has been led by the defense. Offensively, it might surprise some that the 37 that they dropped was the most that they did since 2023 against the Bears. Can they build upon that, which was the Week 4 matchup against the Ravens a week ago? I'm so glad you brought that up, because is it more of the Ravens? I mean, the Chiefs finally getting together, or a byproduct of how bad the Ravens were? This offense, there is head-scratching for most of the season. Going back to the Ravens game was the first time that they put Patrick Mahomes under center, and it opened things up not only in the run game, but also the downfield passing game. When you get Xavier Worthy back, that also opens up the field, but it's never good when your receiver leads you in rushing. He led them in rushing versus the Ravens and obviously led them in receiving as well. So I want to see, can they take another step with this offense? Was this a byproduct of how bad the Ravens are? Because we just saw the Houston Texans, who have been abysmal on offense, drop a 44-piece on the head top of the Baltimore Ravens. So I want to see, is this Chiefs team back to what they were, where they were executing at a high level on offense? Yes, they're not as explosive as they used to be back in years past. But Xavier Worthy coming back helped them a lot. And I think just having the downfield threat and speed of Xavier Worthy really stretched the field not only vertically but horizontally. And what does that do? That gives Travis Kelce more room to operate underneath, and Juju Smith-Schuster and all those guys. But you talked about it. The run game was really starting to pick up in this last game. And it could have been, like you said, a byproduct of what the Baltimore defense looks like right now at its current state. It'll be interesting to see Worthy's health and availability for this game. Tyquan Thornton also can stretch the field as well. I just still always wonder, with a healthy Pacheco and Hunt, why they haven't been able to run maybe a little bit more. Offensive line continues to be an issue, but Patrick Mahomes has had no issues against the Jags. I still remember that 2022 season when he got hurt with a high ankle sprain. Chad Henne came back in. Actually, they still went on to the Super Bowl, beat the Eagles that particular season. But Mahomes and the Jags, lifetime a perfect 5-0. He's owned like he owns a lot of teams. He has, right? And you talked about it. He's 5-0 versus them. I think 4-0 versus the 49ers. So he's been really good. And you see his numbers right there versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, completing over 70%, averaging over 300 passing yards per game. He just knows how to show up in prime time, and more specifically against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So this will be an interesting game, right? Road trip for them going to Duval County. I'm sure it'll be ruckus there, which you don't really equate Duval being ruckus. That's what I was going to say. It was the last time, I believe, because of how well the Jaguars have played this year. And this is a game on national television. They want to show well. That fan base, people may not know this. Duval County is the biggest county in the United States. So land-wise, there's a lot of people and there's a lot of fans there. So this will be a big game for Jacksonville. It'll be a big chance to prove themselves to continue their 4-1 push to not only be a player in the division, but in the AFC. So Ryan, when you take a look at the game tonight, who do you like? I'm going to roll with the Chiefs. I'm going to roll with the Chiefs just because I like where they're going. I like them having, and you talked about it. We'll see how healthy Xavier Worthy really is because I think he's the X factor. And if he's not healthy, then it could be a game that can be decided late. But I think if he's healthy and he's able to do what he's done in last week, I think this Chiefs team kind of runs away. All right. You were not here last year. We had Logan Ryan. And so I had to take the ATS duties. By the way, I went 2-0. No pressure here. So yeah, no pressure. I'll have you go first. And I think, though, we're on the same page here. So yeah, I'm taking the Jags with the points. Yes, I know Patrick Mahomes is on the Jaguars. He's 5-0. But when you look at Trevor Lawrence against the spread the last 2 seasons as an underdog, he's 5-1. I believe this is a spot where they want to keep pace with the Indianapolis Colts. A lot of people didn't expect the Colts to be where they're at, but right now, right, only 1 loss on the season, just like the Jaguars. I'm not sure if they outright win, but again, I love Trevor Lawrence's past when it comes to being an underdog. 5-1 over the last 2 seasons. I believe Jacksonville, with that defense and as stingy as they are taking the football away, they keep this game close. Give me the points with the Jaguars. I'm with you. Anything north of a field goal is good for me. And that Worthy stuff is big, though, because if he was 100%, I might have been changing my mind right now, but I don't think he's going to be 100%. So I'll take the hometown team plus the points. Guys, certainly appreciate it. A lot of conversations about Sunday happening in the recap show with Ryan, Haley Sutton, Pete Prisco, and Damian Harris. Make sure you check them out Sundays at 8:20 Eastern. Go Chiefs!